Right, folks, we'll be right there with you. Bear with me 1 second here. As we are getting communication here. It'll take 1 moment. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. We're just about there. All right. All right. Everything is fine, folks. Nothing's wrong with your picture. I'm just getting myself. All right. Hey, Buck Dad, welcome. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Monday edition of Frankly Speaking Sports, another C4L production. Happy to have you all with us today. I want to welcome you here on this Victory Monday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And believe me, we have lots and lots and lots to talk about today. We're going to be talking Buccaneers, obviously. We're going to be talking the Bucs. You see it behind me. Hope everybody loves my new band. I'd love to get some feedback on it. Also, we'll talk some Rays. And then at 9:30 this evening, so about 30 minutes from now, former Major League pitcher, knuckleball pitcher, Dennis Springer, who played with the Tampa Bay Rays in their expansion year, will be joining us live. The only way Dennis doesn't join us, you have to remember, he is a firefighter. So should he get called out on a call, then of course we have another issue and we won't have. But we are planning on having Dennis Springer in about 25 minutes. So welcome to a great show today. I want to get right into it. Everybody was talking this weekend about, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. And of course, our Buccaneers did one heck of a job this weekend. And we're going to talk. There was a lot of good things I saw and a lot of bad things I saw this weekend. But at the end of the day, the final thing was I did see a win, a 31-7 win. Tom Brady, 23 of 35, 217 yards. Should have been a lot more. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Lots of drop passes all over the place. He had a touchdown. He had an interception. Seems like more and more he's getting more comfortable with this offense. Leonard Fournette, 12 rushes, 103 yards. We'll talk about Leonard Fournette in a little bit. He had 2 touchdowns plus 4 receptions out of the backfield. Ronald Jones had 7 rushes, 23 yards, and a touchdown. Let's talk about Mike Evans. We'll talk about 7 receptions, 104 yards. And then LaShawn McCoy, of course, he's catching balls out of the backfield and everything. But as we go into this game, a couple of different things I want to talk about here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what I saw in this game this weekend. As I look up here, I want to go ahead and put a couple of pictures. Let's first talk about Tom Brady. I was really impressed about the way Tom came back this game. I thought Tom did a really good job. You got to remember, he had about 7 balls that were dropped in this game. Just not something you want to do. Should have done a lot better. He had 3 touchdown passes that were dropped, one by LaShawn McCoy, one by Grayson, and one by Scotty Miller. So, you can't blame Tom Brady for this, but these guys are going to have to catch the football. You got to catch the football or you can't play. You can't blame them dropping balls on Bruce Arians. You can't blame them dropping balls on Tom Brady. They have to catch the football. And I think as the weeks come by, they will. Scotty Miller, I'm a little concerned there because remember last year he dropped a couple of balls as well. Shady McCoy is not going to drop that. 9 out of 10 times he's going to catch that ball in the end zone. And then, this guy Grayson, they're very high on this guy because he's a speedster, and I think just because you have speed, you can play in the NFL, but that's not the case, obviously. But Tom Brady, give credit where credit due. Also, another area where we should give a lot of credit due has to be that offensive line. We were so quick last week. Everybody was so quick last week to go ahead and give that offensive line a lot of crap last week. But that offensive line really held their own. And also so did Donovan Smith. Last week, everybody's giving Donovan Smith crap. Donovan Smith sucks. He gave up 2 sacks. Well, where are all those damn fans that were riding his ass last week to say that he did a really, really good job this year? I'm very disappointed in those fans because he deserves credit now that you were giving him so much negativity the week before. Also, I thought Jensen and Marpet, and how about Tristan Wirfs? The rookie is just unbelievable. You haven't heard him making any mistakes on that offensive line. So a really good job by the offensive line. I thought Leonard Fournette, and, talk about Fournette. I said it was going to be around the 3rd game. I said that, and, people thought I was crazy that by the 3rd game, Leonard Fournette would be the one taking over at the running back position. No surprise. Leonard Fournette is the best runner on this team. He showed you that speed, and the burst of speed, and we talked about this last week. All my fans know it about if Leonard Fournette can get past that first wave of the line, he can bust out and break it. And what happened yesterday? 46-yard run to seal the game. A great, great game. 12 rushes, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 4 passes out of the backfield. There's your running back, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's not to take anything away from Ronald Jones, who I know had a fumble on a mishandled handoff with Tom Brady. He did score a touchdown. He did have 23-yard rushing, but, that's a good little duo right there. And actually call, like I did last week, the triplets with McCoy, that's a good thing. But just incredible. I'm just trying to read some messages as we go. So, great job with the running game. Over 100 yards. Great job. I thought I was very proud of LaShawn McCoy as well. I thought he did a great job catching passes and showing the fans of Tampa Bay exactly what he was brought in for. Shady can catch the ball out of the backfield. But, the one guy that did step it up last week that I gave a lot of crap to had to be Michael Evans. Michael Evans came out. He was ready to play. Had 7 catches, had a beautiful touchdown catch. And with that touchdown catch, just like I said before, he used his body the right way. Now, this is the thing with Evans. He has a tendency to push off a little bit when he catches the ball. Sometimes he's called for it. Sometimes he's not. That's what happens with these big guys at receiver. And he made a great play. I thought overall he played a great game with, I believe I said he had 7 receptions, 104 yards. Now, I think the opportunity we did have on offense obviously comes with the catching of the football. And, you should not be learning at this stage of your career how to catch a football. We have to catch this football by missing footballs, dropping footballs. We were allowing teams to come back into the game. And that's what we did yesterday. We allowed the Carolina Panthers to at some point have a shot in winning that game. And, great job by the defense. We're going to talk about that right now. First, I want to give credit to a couple of people. Let me get rid of this one first. All right, here comes the two people. And I'm going to bring them both up here. But when you talk about defense yesterday and how great this defense is playing, you got to give a lot of credit to both Devin Smith and Antoine Winfield Jr. What a game both of these guys had. And you can't forget Levante David. But before we get to these two, give some props to the defensive line. Last week, they weren't even seen versus the Saints. This week, they came to play. I thought Sue and Vita Vea, Pierre-Paul, Barrett, all those guys played a great, great game, put pressure on it. I think Pierre-Paul had 2 sacks in that game. Just a great, great job by the up front line. But when you talk about defense, this Devin White and this Antoine Winfield Jr., White being in his second year and Antoine Winfield Jr. obviously being a rookie. What an incredible, incredible, incredible game by both of them. I mean, we are talking about the future here, and it looks very bright from a defensive standpoint. Devin White had 15 tackles and 4 assists in yesterday's game. He was all over the place. Antoine Winfield Jr., 11 tackles, 3 assists, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. Just an incredible, incredible game by the rookie as well. And both of these guys, incredible, incredible, incredible games. I thought the defense did an unbelievable job. And like I said, Levante David did well. Carlton Davis, he played another great game. You got to give the guy credit. It seems like once a game he gets beat, but damn, he plays such great defense with the one-on-one coverage. Another great job by Carlton Davis. Bunting was out there. We saw Jamel Dean on a couple plays. But let's not also forget Jordan Whitehead, who had an outstanding game over there. Just an incredible, incredible game as well. You really got to see your defense play, really, really well in a lot of areas. But the one area that we need to clean up on defense is defending the pass. As great as these guys played, as many stops as they made, we still have to get better coverage on the pass. I believe yesterday, don't know if I have it in front of me. I'm looking at it. I believe Bridgewater was like 33 of 42, 367 yards. He had 9 passes to Robbie Anderson completed for over 100 yards. G.J. Moore had 8 receptions. Mike Davis had 8 receptions out of the backfield. So, the one thing that we're going to have to get better and better and better at on the defensive side of the ball is you cannot let opposing quarterbacks throw for 367 yards on you. Now, we won the game. That's the most important thing. You look at this. Drew Brees only threw for 160 yards the week before, and we lost. We let Bridgewater throw for 367 yards, and we win. So mathematically, nothing adds up there. The end of the game is you need to get a W by the time the clock runs out. And that's what they did. They played well enough to win, and they sealed it with a beautiful 46-yard run by Leonard Fournette. Great, great job by the Bucs. Like I said, give those guys the credit when credit is due. But, those are my 2 takeaways on things we have to work on as a team when we do, play next week, and what we do practice this week has to be the drop passes have to be caught and the passing defense. Those are the 2 takeaways. Otherwise, I thought we played a great game. You can look at Tom Brady's stats, say whatever you want. He's 23 of 35, but 7 passes easily could have been caught where he could have, and we could say if. There's a lot of ifs. He didn't do it, but at the end of the day, we won the ball game, and I saw a lot of good things, and the Tampa fans should be really, really proud of what they're about to see here in the upcoming weeks. Next week, we play Denver. Denver Excuse me there. Tampa plays Denver in Denver. Now, Von Miller's out. Luck is out. So they got, I believe, Jeff Driscoll is actually the quarterback on that team for next week's game. And we're going to talk more about that coming up on Wednesday. Just a few mentions here, folks. I want to make sure that I get this to you so everybody's aware. Tomorrow night on our platform, I'm going to look this up here so I have all my dates and things in a row. Tomorrow night, we on Bullseye. It's the Bullseye platform. If you are not a member of Bullseye, and on the bottom it'll say on the screen, Bullseye, capital letters. Go to the Facebook group. If you belong to Crew Life, if you belong to Frankly Speaking, this is a group that is dedicated 100% to USF. Myself and co-host Bradley Lewis Walker will be on at 9 p.m. We will be recapping the Notre Dame USF game that happened over the weekend. We will be previewing the upcoming Florida Atlantic University versus USF game, and we will have legendary former quarterback that brought the USF Bulls to a number 2 ranking in college football poll. Matt Grody will be on tomorrow night, during our show. That's right. Matt Grody will be on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Bullseye. If you're not a member of Bullseye, go ahead and join now. That'll be tomorrow night. Then on Wednesday night, on our Crew Life platform, we got a double whammy for you. Not only are we going to, in detail, recap, it's Buccaneer Wednesday, Frankly Speaking Bucs on the Crew Life platform. We're going to have 2 former Tampa Bay Buccaneers for you. Charles Wilson, who used to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jacquez Smith. Both of those guys will be on our show. 2 interviews Wednesday night. 2 former Buccaneers on a Victory Wednesday for you. So we will have them on. And then Thursday night, you know it, folks, we preview the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers live on Frankly Speaking Sports on Pigskin Thursday. We'll break down the game. We'll have people from Denver calling in live. We'll have a reporter. I will announce that officially in the next couple of days. But we will have someone from Denver on talking about the Denver Broncos and what they feel they need to do versus what we need to do. So a big, big week coming up here on C4L Productions, Frankly Speaking Sports, Crew Life, and Bullseye. So we want to thank you all very much. And we'll get to questions later in the show in regards to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have lots and lots of I'm going to see information we want to go over, unbelievable what's going on in the Tampa Bay area. Let me bring that up for you guys for a minute. We'll go ahead and bring that up. As you can see, I'm a producer. I do it all, guys. And then we'll bring this up. But the one main thing, if you are living in the Tampa Bay area right now, it is a great, great time to be in Tampa Bay. And I'll tell you why it's a great, great time to be in Tampa Bay. There we go. We got everything coming up here. All right, there we go. Well, not sure what happened there, but all right. But anyway, when you have 3 teams, every single team in Tampa Bay, the Rays, we'll talk about in a minute, have clinched the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. They are actually battling the Mets tonight. We'll talk about them in a few minutes, and we'll update you on the score. Everybody knows about the Buccaneers, okay? Buccaneers 1-1, lots and lots and lots of great things planned for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, but let's right now get into it, where if I could find what I'm looking for. It sounds like a song somebody once wrote. Well, let me get that for you. Yep, there it comes. All right, here we go, folks. But let's talk about tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals. When you go into what was going on, let's just put it very mildly. They got destroyed in game one. They got beat. The first two periods, they were outplayed. Even though it was 1-1, at the end of the first period, they were outplayed the first and second period. I thought the third period, they came on, they outshot shots attempted in the third period was, listen to this stat, 43-3. 43-3. Okay? We started coming out. We started playing better. I mean, they just were severely beat. Remember, the Lightning have not lost consecutive games since the playoffs started. Like I said, they look good in the first period. Dallas is a high leverage team that likes to keep teams out of the shooting area. And we're going to update that game in a minute. But, Shatnick, that game had 6 shots on goal. Kucherov had 5 shots on goal. I thought Antoine Kudabin had 35 saves. He looked real good for Dallas. But tonight, it's a different game, a different day, and a different result so far. Lightning are now winning 3-0. 3-0. They're in the second period with 16 minutes left to go. I'm going to see real quickly right here as we get the updates for you. There it is. All righty. As we look at the Lightning, all right, we got a goal by Palat, a goal by Point, and a goal by Shattenkirk. You got 2 assists for Hedman, 2 for Kucherov. So once again, Andre Palat, Braden Point, and Karen Shattenkirk each have a goal in the game. Lightning leading 3-0. 3-0 in the second period, 16-13 left. They just took a penalty, so the Stars will be, on the power play. But that's what I try to tell you folks. Calm down, relax. It was one game. This team is a different team. This team can lose a game and come right back and play a great game of hockey, which they've proven since they've come back, after the suspended season and since the playoffs have started. We have a terrific team. Now, there is some news that, if you haven't heard, Steven Stamkos has been practicing with the team. Obviously, he is not playing tonight, but there is talk about him playing in the next couple of games. As we get more news from our sources, we will tell you. But right now, with Dallas on the power play, it's 3-0 Tampa Bay. And we will keep you updated on that game as well. And I'm going to set my phone right now to keep us updated. We're about 5 minutes away from having Dennis Springer on the phone, the former Major League pitcher. But before we do that and get in, we still got about, like I said, 5 or 6 minutes. Let me go ahead and get rid of a couple of these things here. Let's hide this. Let's hide that. All right. But, we got to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays clinched the playoffs. They have definitely clinched the playoffs. Now they're going for the American League East. The magic number is 3. Magic number is 3. Right now, if it should end today, because of the expanded series, the Rays would end up playing the Blue Jays, okay? Which the Blue Jays, as you know, have a decent offense, but not a lot of great pitching. But that's, we still got 6 games left. You got 3 versus the Mets, 3 versus the Phillies. And right now, heading to the top of the 8th inning, there's 1 out, and Tampa Bay is leading 2-1 in that game. So a slim lead. They faced Jason DeGrom today. So, that was obviously a great, great pitcher. But the magic number is 3. And what does that mean, folks? It means that any combination of 3 between the Yankees and the Rays would get the Rays to win the AL East. So every loss counts as 1 for the Yankees. Every win counts as 1. So if the Rays win tonight and the Yankees lose, they gain 2 games there. 1 for the loss and 1 for their win. So, it looks like everything is falling in place for these Rays. We still have some injuries, but the good news right now with this team that I'm real proud of is our pitching is coming back just at the right time. Remember, it wasn't long ago where we had all these different guys, 11 pitchers hurt on this team, all at once. And, it's just an amazing thing. We got Morton back. We got Snell back. We got Glass now back. And that's going to be the setup in the playoffs. Remember, the first series of the playoffs is the best 3 out of 5. So, for those fans out there, it's a shorter series. The Rays obviously would be at home. So, we can hope. Meadows is out for the season. We don't know if Choi is coming back. Zunino just came back, made a beautiful throw to peg a guy at second trying to steal today. And probably the hottest guy usually this time of year, and we definitely need to come through, is there he is, Willy Adames. Willy Adames hit 2 home runs over the weekend, and this is when Willy turns it on. And what better time for Willy Adames to turn it on in the month of September. So once again, the Rays are winning 2-1. The great thing about this team, they finally, and we've talked about this in the past also, about playing more old-fashioned baseball, some small ball and some running and some hitting and running. Well, look at this. The Rays in 53 games this year right now, that's what they've played, has stolen 40 bases. They've been on a tear stealing bases lately. Margot has 12 stolen bases. KK has 7. Wendell 6. So 40 stolen bases. And that's what wins ball games. And that's what I've been telling everyone. You play the game like baseball is supposed to be played. Not with this angle crap where you either strike out or hit home runs all the time. And you will win. Fundamental baseball. Good defense, good pitching. And right now, yes, our hitting is a little erratic. But if you can keep that defense intact and you can keep that pitching playing as well as they've been, this team will go far in the playoffs. I guarantee they will. So just want to let you all know that, just really impressed with what this team has done. And we're looking forward. Remember, the last game of the regular season is coming up this upcoming Sunday versus the Phillies. Like I said, they play the Mets. I'm just making sure that our guest is just about on. So just remember that, last game of the season is Sunday. Then we'll find out the seeds. Remember, there's 8 teams now in each division. That the American League has 8 teams and the National League, so a lot more teams. So this week's going to be very interesting weeks for a lot of clubs out there who are on the brink of making the playoffs. We are a couple moments away from having Dennis Springer on with us. Remember, Dennis is a firefighter, so if he did get out on a call, it is going to be obviously a little bit more difficult for him to get on. But, while we're waiting on him, we talked about the Buccaneers. And I want to put up this, if you guys can go ahead and see this. This is the stats from yesterday's game. And I'm going to try to make it a little bigger. There we go for you, where you can see it. But if you look at these statistics from yesterday, and this is what I was talking about, you look down, and in some areas that we could have won, we didn't win. But at the end of the day, the final score is the one that means the most. And you look at these statistics and you see Carolina had a lot more plays than we had on offense. They had 71 plays, 427 total yards to our 339 yards on 57 plays. One of the things, we had 5 penalties, did not cost us a lot, cost us 37 yards, and then they had 9 for 77. They turned over the ball 4 times. We turned it over twice. Ronald Jones with one of those. The interception by Tom Brady was the other. And then if you look at third downs, that's another thing we have to be able to stop. You can't allow teams to go ahead and, convert over 50% of the time on third down conversions. Oh, that will come back to haunt you. Meanwhile, we were just under 50% when we did it. And then fourth down efficiency, they also made 1 of 2. So overall, they made, probably 55 to 60% of those conversions after third down. You cannot allow that. It's not a successful formula for winning in the NFL. Then you look at the passing yards. We talked about, the Bucs need to make sure that they can go ahead and really cut down some of these passing yards against them. And it's, and I've said this even during the offseason. That was my biggest concern. We know we're good against the rush. We know we have a front line that is incredible. We know our linebackers are great. We know we got a great rookie in, Antoine Winfield Jr. We know that Devin White is Superman out there. But what are we going to do when the other team passes the ball? And it's still showing as our nemesis right now. We are not very good at defending the pass for whatever reason. What is the reason? Is it we're not aggressive because we're afraid we're going to make mistakes? And if we get too aggressive, we're going to overrun a play and allow a guy to go, the rest of the way for a touchdown? I don't know. Todd Bowles is a great, great pickup for this team as defensive coordinator. He'll figure it out. But that's the big, big thing right now. You get that coverage against the pass taken care of, and it's going to be one heck of a defense. That's what they're lacking right now. Vita Vea did have another penalty, and that one irks me when you keep going offside, in the neutral zone. But overall, that line played terrific, had pressure. It's hard to say you had pressure on a guy when they throw for 367 yards, but they did. They did. And, I'm just looking at my phone, seeing if, let me see. All right. Give me one second. Do a phone. All right. He's trying to get on right now. So we'll give him a few minutes to get on. If not, we'll give him a phone call. So we'll wait to get his message. So we'll find out in a couple minutes whether Dennis will be able to get on. I know he is calling from I believe he's calling from, I'm not sure where he's calling from. He might be calling from the West Coast. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. But wherever he is, we'll find him. Let me just tell him if you number to live interview. All right. So we'll give him a couple seconds, find out what's happening. If he doesn't get through, we will go ahead and try another way. I'm going to just double check here that he's not in yet. Oh, there he is. Hold on a minute. Let me get him in there. Hold on one sec for me. There we go. He did get in. I just have to bring him up there. Let me get my microphone on here for him so he could hear me. Dennis, I'll be right with you. I'm getting the microphone going here, buddy. one more time and we'll get that going. There we go. All right. Let me get the setting, Dennis. I got 1 sec. We'll get you on there. I got to just put the microphones on. All right. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. I should be able to hear you in a second. All right, so you got me, now I get the other one and we'll be ready to go. Can you hear me, my friend? There we go. Can you hear me, Dennis? All right. We had him. There he is. All right. I think we got him back. Let's get him in there again. 2, 1. All right. We got him in. Now let's get a voice for him. We're just missing his voice. Yep, he's there. Let me get him.
Do you hear me now? Do you hear me? Can you hear me? No?
I know you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can you hear me?
I just can't hear you for some. Nah. All right, you're still there. The mic. I don't know why the mic's not coming in on your side. I'm trying to figure that out. Give me 1 more second. I'll test it.
Oh,
All right, let me go to my last thing here. All right. I think I should be able to hear you in a second.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Not me?
All right. I hear you. I can hear you, Dennis.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, it was
All right,
allowing
fine.
me.
I don't know what that was, but I got it.
Okay.
I want to thank you first for coming on the show this evening. Really do appreciate it. Dennis,
Well, thank
I wanted to talk about, I remember, you from years back when you played in the major leagues. Talk about the early years. I think you had like 9 years playing in the minor leagues before you actually got to the major leagues. What was it like? I mean, did it get to a point where it got frustrating for you, and how did you handle it? Well, folks, I apologize about that. Sometimes when we have people come on, it's we're working with different software, so unfortunately, we only control the software we have. So I do apologize about that. Let me see if maybe he can give us his phone number. It might work. All right. All right. Well, let me go ahead and get hopefully his phone number, and we'll get him on. All righty. We'll get his folks. We'll get him right back on, and we'll get into those questions with him. So hopefully he'll go ahead in a minute, and he'll text us. We'll get him on. Okay, he's actually back on. So let's see if we can get him back on here again.
Sorry about that. You hear me?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there he is. He's back. He's coming back there you go. Let's see if we can get him again. Let me bring him up on the screen here. It's trying to get him on here. Good old technology isn't always the best. All right, so he's going to try again. Look at this. Once I see him, folks, I'll have him just call in and we'll go ahead and do this interview. So anyway, folks, I do apologize about the technical difficulties we're having. Up there we go again. Let's try it again. If not, we'll get a phone number and we'll call and we'll do this interview over the phone. All right. Now we just got to get a voice again and we'll be okay. All right, let me get the microphone on now like we did last time and we'll be all set. All right, Dennis, we're going to try this again. Nope. All right, we'll get a phone number from Dennis if he can hear me. Dennis, just go ahead and text me that phone number. We'll call you right there. And we'll definitely do the interview. This way I don't have to frustrate you with this thing. All right. So I apologize, folks. I'm not sure what's going on there. So I do apologize once again. Hopefully he sees this message I'm sending him. He'll give us his phone number. But just for those of you while we're waiting to go ahead and do this interview, Dallas did get a goal, so they are now down by 2. They're down by 2, so it's 3-1 with 4 minutes left in the second period. So it is 3-1. The Lightning are now leading. I'm just looking here for a message so that there we go. Let's go ahead and give him a call, guys, and we will get Dennis on the phone here. I do apologize about that.
Hello.
Hey, Dennis, how you doing? I apologize, my friend. Not sure what's...
Sorry about all the issues.
No, I don't think it's your fault. I think it's on our end here, so I do apologize. Sometimes when we're using 2 different computers, that's why I like the idea of doing phone interviews sometimes too. So I do apologize. But as I was asking you, first of all, thanks for coming on and thanks for dealing with all the technical issues we were having there. But, you spent a lot of years in the minor league. Did you ever get to a point when you were in the minor leagues where you said, I just don't know if this is worth it?
Well, fortunately, I was able to hang in there as long as I wanted personally. At the time, I was not married. I didn't have any kids, and I was, I just felt like, hey, I'm going to give as long as they're going to give me the opportunity. And if I just kept playing and I didn't make it, then that was one thing. But I didn't want to give up. And I had some teams that gave opportunities, and like you say, it did take me 9 years to finally make it. And I tell you what, when I finally got called up, it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait.
Oh, I bet it was. Now talk about let me see what I was going to ask. I'm sorry. 9 years ago, it was what, 1990? I'm sorry. 9 years after was 1995. You get to pitch in your first game. I believe it was September of that for the Philadelphia Phillies. Tell us about that experience, about finally after all that time, it all paid off?
Well, we were actually on a bus trip in AAA, and our pitching coach came to the back of the bus. Another buddy and I were back in the back, and he basically told us that the both of us were going to get an opportunity to be in the big leagues the next week. And he said, don't say anything because it's not, better not be messing with us, because that's, and sure enough, the next week we played our last game in AAA, and there'd been some rumors, and our manager called myself and another player into the office after the game and, congratulated us and, said, this is obviously the best part of my job is to be able to tell the guys, they're getting to go to the big leagues. So the worst part of it, however, was he told us on a Saturday night, and we actually didn't meet the team until the next Friday night. So we, the Phillies at the time were on a West Coast trip, and we had to wait for them to return to Philadelphia before they actually called us up.
Oh my God. Now, let me ask you this. You go ahead, you pitch in your first game, but the unbelievable thing happened in your second game. Talk about that experience. Your first 6 innings, you haven't given up a hit. You're in the 6th inning. How well do you remember that day?
Well, I do remember it. I had one of those days that, I could probably tell you that I was going to throw you a knuckleball and have the confidence that you were not going to hit it. And I was throwing it for strikes. And I hadn't walked a lot of guys. And I was just, it was fun. And I tell you what, when you play in the big leagues and you have the backing of the defense and, you give up a ground ball and you just knew that they were going to make the play. And, it was a lot of fun. And we were still at the point where we were still in the playoff hunt. And so, that was fun too. And there's Philadelphia, there's a lot of pressure to perform. And I think that, I had a pretty decent game, and I think that the crowd really enjoyed it.
Yeah, now, talk about the knuckleball. I mean, you decided to go ahead and use it, I think, full time after you got traded. What kind of impact from a longevity standpoint did the knuckleball have on you succeeding for those 8 years?
Well, I think, when I was in college, the scout that eventually drafted me basically said, the only reason I'm drafting you is because of the potential of your knuckleball. I threw it maybe 10 times a game. And, so I had been drafted by the LA Dodgers, and they basically gave me the opportunity with no pressure to start throwing the knuckleball, I was throwing it 85-90% of the time. And I think that, when you still throw the ball, there were times that I still, I would throw 100, 120 pitches, and I would still be sore the next day, but I don't think that I was as sore as, say, your, normal style pitcher that's going out there throwing, 90 miles an hour.
Now, Dennis, when you say you threw the knuckleball full time, does that mean you didn't have any second pitches?
No. No, I threw, I would say I threw maybe 75 to 80% knuckleball.
Okay.
I threw a fastball, I threw a slider. Once in a while, I would throw a curveball. But those were my second, third, and fourth pitch. So I had to rely, if I went, 3 and 2 with the bases loaded, I was throwing a knuckleball.
Right.
And that was my bread and butter was my knuckleball. So if I was going to get beat in any situation, it was going to be with the knuckleball, not a fastball or a curveball or a slider.
So let me ask you, and I know back then when you were pitching, there was Tom Candiotti, there was Phil Negro, was before that. But what kind, I know you've dealt, you spoke to both of them. What kind of effect did they have on you personally, helping you, use the knuckleball?
Well, all three that you mentioned there, along with Tim Wakefield, all were different style pitchers. Candiotti was probably a 50 to 60% knuckleball pitcher, and he had really good, curveball and command of his fastball and that kind of thing. Phil Negro was probably the ultimate in throwing the knuckleball. He, give the ball a chance. In fact, there was one time I had pitched in New York against the Yankees, and I had a bad game, and heck, I was worried about getting sent back down to the minor leagues, and we had gone into Boston, and Phil Negro was there, and Tim Wakefield was there, and I went out and threw a bullpen, and Phil Negro said, basically, he goes, "I think you're throwing the ball too hard. You need to give the ball a chance, to do its thing, to kind of flutter like you used to hear, flutter like a butterfly." And so I went out and threw a bullpen. Well, all of a sudden, I just started throwing the ball as slow as I could. And all of a sudden, the gravity of the humidity of the air, the gravity, the wind in my face, it really helped me. And after my bad game in New York, I went into Cleveland and I threw a complete game shutout. So I went from pitching a 3 or 4 inning game in New York to throwing a complete game shutout in Cleveland. And even though you're in the big leagues, you continue to learn every time you go out there and pitch. And anytime one of these guys could help me, and I was always on the phone with, Charlie Huff and Phil Negro. I would call him, and I'd run into Tim Wakefield when we'd play against each other. We would sit and talk, and in fact, one time when we were down in Anaheim, and Boston came into town, myself, Tim Wakefield, and Charlie Huff went out and went golfing. And guess what we talked about,
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. So, you get on with the expansion team, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at that time. And obviously our show is based out of here in Tampa. To come to an expansion team that, like it says, has never played before, a lot of excitement built around it. The fans are all new to it. What was the experience like to get to be a member on a first year of a team?
Well, let me go back a few months to the day of the expansion draft. We kind of, all of us baseball players, we kind of knew the rules of the draft and everything. And I was visiting a friend. My wife and I were back in actually Des Moines, Iowa, visiting a friend and his wife, and we went to lunch. And I said, "Hey, we need to go back and watch the expansion draft." And I didn't know. The big league teams could protect so many players, and then they would lose a player, and then they'd protect so many players, and they'd lose a player. And so, I'm writing down all the players that are getting drafted and, kind of keeping track. And then all of a sudden Tampa Bay goes on the, clock, and they say Tampa Bay selects right-handed pitcher Dennis Springer from the Anaheim Angels. And my heart just kind of dropped. because we were happy being with Anaheim. You know, I'm a California boy, and my family was there, and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have to hold on a second, see if we're getting a call.
Yep, go ahead. I know about that.
I don't believe it's me, so we're lucked out.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, we you know, I did get drafted by Tampa Bay, and almost immediately my agent called me and was super excited, and and of course, the roster starting to come out. You know, Wade Boggs, Roberto Hernandez, Wilson Alvarez, Fred McGriff. They were putting together a team that we thought, man, this is cool. But yeah, going into spring training and the coverage that we had, and then heck, I can remember finally making the announcement of the team and going over to Tropicana Field. And the first day we walked into the stadium, into the clubhouse, and here's 40 dozen baseballs that we had to sign, and but it was truly a great experience, and it was awesome. And then going back 2 years ago, we got to come. They invited us all back for the 20th anniversary.
Right. Yep. So that must have been a special day.
Oh, it was awesome, and it was really cool. The director of public, the PR president called and said, "This is what we'd like to do," and it worked out perfect because it was during Easter week vacation, and I was coaching my two boys and their high school baseball team, and so we made a family trip out of it, and they got to meet all the my old teammates, and got to go see some. We saw 3 games opening weekend against Boston. It was awesome. It really was awesome.
So obviously, I would say out of all the teams you played with, obviously you enjoyed being in your hometown, I would assume, of California.
Well, yeah. I grew up in Fresno, California, and I can tell you, as a little kid, when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, spending the night at my grandma and grandpa's house, and my grandpa was a huge Dodger fan. And originally being drafted by the Dodgers out of college was like a dream come true. And then, I kind of spent years here and years there. And then I got an opportunity to play for the Angels. And that was absolutely amazing also.
Let me ask you a couple of questions here, Dennis. Why don't you see today? Really, I mean, very rarely. You might have one out there, maybe, but you don't see people throwing the knuckleball anymore.
Well, I think it's a timing thing. The Dodgers gave me every opportunity to stay around and throw that ball. They didn't put much pressure on me. Hey, you need to have success or we're releasing you. And I think now, there's a lot of teams out there that they want. You see how fast these kids are moving through the minor leagues. They go from single A to triple A to the big leagues in the same year. And that's not what it used to be. You served your time. And I think that, when you finally made it to the big leagues, you were ready. And I don't think that a lot of these guys are they want to give the time to, some of these kids that are, like you say, it may take you, it took me 9 years. How many teams are out there willing to give somebody 9 years to finally make it? They want this to happen in the first couple of years. And I don't know. It's a hard situation. I wish there were more knuckleball kids out there, but there's so much pressure now to throw. If you don't throw 90 plus, you're not even going to get an opportunity to play pro baseball.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And one of the things that just baffles me is in the time you played, even right before you played as well, you've seen less and less pitchers that get hurt. That there's more pitchers today that get hurt than they did back then. I mean, what do you think all the reasoning for? It seems like every year you get a half a dozen of pitchers that are going out on Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think it starts at the younger ages, and I'll speak from some experience with my own family. I had I have two boys. They're 19 and almost 21, and my younger boy, when he was coming up, and I was really careful with him. I didn't we didn't play a lot of travel ball, and we were really careful with him, followed all the rules, and I had a really good relationship with him as far as, how does your arm feel and that kind of thing. But I think these kids are throwing so hard at a younger age that maybe their arm's not ready for it, even though that they can throw that hard. Now, jump forward a few years. My younger one is going to Fresno State to play baseball as a pitcher. However, last year he did have to have Tommy John surgery, and so he's recovering, and he'll be ready to go for this next season. But I think some of these kids, the competition and they're year-round baseball kids, and they're not given the opportunities to have the time off to rest their arms. You only have so many throws in your arm. And I don't know. I just, it's a tough situation, because I felt like we did everything to be safe with our own son.
Right.
Especially knowing the situation, of the possibility of having surgery.
So, Dennis, do you think, and a couple more questions before I let you run here, do you think in these cases, and I know every case is different, but is it more that they have so many throws in the arm, or is it more back then you seem to stretch it out a little bit more, so maybe your arm was a little bit, if you know what I mean, I don't know, in shape the right word, but it could do a little bit more because of the strength you build it up? Because it was nothing. I mean, you came close a couple times in your career for close to throwing 200 innings, but nowadays it's not really heard of anymore.
Yeah, excuse me. You hit it. You hit something that makes a lot of sense. When I was getting ready for the upcoming season, I threw and threw and threw it. I mean, I threw batting practice, I threw bullpens, I threw long toss. And I think that, some of these guys, they're so careful with them, they don't get a chance to stretch out their arm and strengthen their arm. It was, I tell you what, when I was playing, if I couldn't go 7 or 8 or 9 innings, I was upset. And, now these, the way it's going now as a starting pitcher, you're lucky if you get 5 innings.
Yeah. I mean, they might as well take the complete game stat out of the statistics, because you rarely see a complete game anymore.
Oh, yeah. I loved going 8 or 9 innings. That was my goal, and my goal was 200 innings. I got close. I got close a couple times there, and but yeah, it's tough. I don't. these kids are so big and so strong. And like I said, if you're not, 6'3", 200 pounds and throwing 95, you're probably not going to get the opportunity to pitch. So they're going out there and they are just rearing back as hard as they can. And, they throw until their arm hurts.
Now, I know you're out there in California and everything, but, a lot of people where I'm from here are really excited about the outlook of the Tampa Bay Rays this year. They clinched the playoffs. They're trying to win the American League East. Do you follow the Rays at all? I mean, I know you played for them, but, you live obviously in California, but do you ever go back and follow the teams that you played for and see where they're at?
It's funny. It's hard for me to keep up. I've been, I revert back. We're my family going back to, like I said, when I was a kid, and we're Dodger fans. But I root for them. I can't say that I totally follow them, but I really do root for them. Like I said, when we were in the 2 years ago when we came back to Tampa Bay, got to meet a lot of the ball players, the coaches, the manager, Cash. It was really neat. So you can now, put some faces to who's the actual team, and that's a pretty neat deal.
Yeah.
And so no, when if Phillies are playing somebody, I'm rooting for them. If Tampa Bay is playing for somebody, I'm rooting for them. I may not follow them as much as I follow some other teams, but I do want the teams. I played for quite a few teams, and I'm always rooting for the teams that I played for.
Well, good. Well, listen, Dennis, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're there working and everything. I really appreciate you, staying in there and helping us during the technical difficulties there. And I just want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. It was fun. And go Tampa Bay.
All right. Thank you. Be safe out there, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. That was Dennis Springer, former Major League pitcher. He was on the expansion Tampa Bay Devil Rays. So just a great, great guy. I mean, he stuck with us there. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said earlier, I want to thank all of you for sticking with us on some of these interviews where we do video. We are using new technology and new things as we continue on C4L Productions to continue to grow our network and make it the best quality we can. Gonna be a couple of hiccups, and sometimes when you're dealing with software on two sides, we can handle our software. We don't necessarily know what other people are using, whether it's a phone, whether it's a computer. So we do apologize. Those of you that stuck with us, thanks. We'll probably start just hanging out doing these phone interviews because they're just as good. The only thing is you don't see their face. But other than that, it's a great, 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 great thing here. And we're just about ready to wrap this show up here. We do want to give you a couple of quick updates why we do this. Let's see what we got here. So stay with me here 1 minute here. All right, here we go. Looks like it's a final in New York City at Citi Field. The Tampa Bay Rays defeated the New York Mets 2-1. That makes their magic number 2 to clinch the American League East. 2-1, Tampa Bay Rays. Great job, Tampa Bay. There we go, one. Then let's see, before we go here, if we can pull up a quick lightning score for all you fans out there. All right, that one's gone. That one's gone. All right. And we'll get you just to make sure we got the right things here for you folks. As our computer goes ahead and updates itself there, you can see it does a little crazy things there. So I want to thank y'all. Boy, we got lots of messages here that we're going to have to definitely get to tomorrow here. All right, there we go. And at the end of, want to make sure that it hasn't changed. It was 3-1. It still is in the second intermission. For those of you watching, the Tampa Bay Lightning are leading 3-1. Once again, they are leading 3-1. It is intermission time, end of the second period. Palat, Point, and Shattenkirk each scored a goal. Want to thank all of you that have tuned in for tonight's show. Tomorrow, a quick reminder that we will be on the Bullseye Facebook group page. If you are not a member of Bullseye, one of the fastest growing USF Facebook groups, if you're a USF Bulls fan, you need to join this. If you're not a USF Bulls fan, you need to become one, especially if you live in Tampa Bay. Join Bullseyes. We'll have Matt Grody tomorrow, the former legendary quarterback, on live with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in with us this evening.